I'm Trip Douglas.
Welcome home and stuff.
And I'm Ernie Douglas.
James Bond, Secret Agent 007.
And we're here to tell you.
Ernie!
Just a minute, Uncle Charlie.
Come on, Ernie, you're gonna be late for school.
We're doing a promo for Me TV and junk.
Ernie, Trip.
Yes, Dad.
Come here a minute, will you?
We'll be down in a minute.
As I was saying,
Tramp, be quiet.
Tramp?
Hey, have you guys seen Robbie? Oh, hi, I'm Katie Douglas.
We're my three sons.
Ernie, I had to learn about women like Melissa through long, tough experience.
Let me make my own mistakes. They're half the fun.
And one daughter-in-law.
Thanks. Now I really feel like one of the family.
Watch me on Me TV.
You think girls are just boys gift wrap.
Weekday mornings at 7, 6 Central on Me TV.
It's real neat.
Hi, I'm John Malos, and welcome to Connect with Me live here in the studio on the floor of Ventura TV on this Friday morning. Today we have a special guest that flew in from Washington, D.C. yesterday. He's going to be talking about a war that took place 25 years ago near the country of Armenia. That's right, your phone calls are important, 265-4331. We're back in just a moment. And today we're talking about a very important topic, a war that took place some 25 years ago. And if you think back in time, in recent memory, you think about the war that took place in Bosnia. You might even think of the war that took place in Kosovo. Kosovo was part of Serbia, you might recall. And then we had the Kosovo War back in 1998. A lot of bloodshed, a lot of ethnic cleansing. Then you had the war in Iraq, and of course, the war in Afghanistan. But a lot of Armenians live in this city of Fresno, or the Central Valley, some 60,000. And so this program today certainly pertains directly to them in terms of importance. I want to put a map up on the screen and show you what I'm talking about. One of the bloodiest wars that ever take place in recent history was 25 years ago inside a tiny enclave called Nogorno Karabakh. You can see the map right here. Karabakh is in yellow. It's east of Armenia, but it sits smack dab in the middle of Azerbaijan. Russia took over this area back in 1813, and in 1923, Joseph Stalin established the province inside Soviet Azerbaijan. And so by now, Nogorno Karabakh was no longer a part of Armenia. Keep in mind, Armenians are the majority here in Karabakh, and in 1988, they rose up against Azerbaijan rule. After that breakup of the Soviet Union back in 1991, a bloody war broke out. It lasted for some 3 years. Tens of thousands of people were killed, maimed on both sides. Finally, in 1994, a ceasefire, a truce, in fact, took place. But tensions today remain high, both from the political side and from a military standpoint. Armenia would love nothing better than to have this enclave back. It's a very important piece of land to them in terms of history. Nogorno Karabakh is not recognized by any state, including Armenia. The United Nations Security Council refers to Karabakh as a region part of Azerbaijan. Live in our studio right now is Robert Avetisyan, a permanent representative of Nogorno Karabakh Republic to the United States. He flew in from Washington, D.C., of course, yesterday. He is going to be the featured and the main speaker tonight at Fresno State. We'll talk a little bit about that and about the future of Karabakh. That country is a sovereign nation right now, but not recognized by any country, including the United States. Of course, we have a lot of Armenians in this area. As I said, some 60,000 Armenians in the Central Valley. The number here to call in if you have a question, as Robert flew in from Washington, D.C. yesterday, is 265-4331. Probably no one knows this issue inside and out better than our guest today. 265-4331 is the number. We're back with our program in just a moment.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean Dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
It's not often we have someone fly in from Washington, D.C. to be a guest on our program, but today is a little bit of a different story. We have a kind of a different twist on our show today, and a very important topic, because, you know, we're fast approaching the date of April the 24th. That is the anniversary, of course, of the Armenian genocide, so we'll be talking about that in just a little bit. But I want to welcome in now Robert Avetisyan, flew in from Washington yesterday. How are you, Robert?
Thank you very much.
Hey, good to see you. Listen, you're going to be speaking at Fresno State tonight at 7:30, McLean Hall, room 121 at Fresno State. What will be your main topic of conversation at that meeting?
Well, the topic of the main conversation is pretty much described in the title, which is the 25 years of the Nogorno Karabakh freedom movement. All the challenges we had since we raised our voice for freedom, and all the achievements we had ever since. So this is my first attempt to reach out to the Armenian community, not only to the Armenian community in Fresno.
Why did you pick Fresno? Because of the mass population, the numbers of Armenians who live here?
Partly yes, because of that, and because it's a part of our general policy. We're trying to reach out to the majority, to the most people we can, to talk about our country, to share the achievements we have so far, and to make everyone know what is Nagorno Karabakh, because it's much more than a conflict.
Right. It is a sovereign country, as I said, not recognized by any country, including the UN Security Council or the United States. We appreciate you taking the time. It's very nice of you to be here. We know you're on a tight schedule. So I set this up in the monologue of what happened 25 years ago. This war, compared to, say, Kosovo or Bosnia, got very little press coverage. We kind of know what happened there. There was some coverage. What's the status like now, politically, economically?
Well, politically, we are, as you mentioned, we've proclaimed independence in 1991 in full compliance with then acting legislation and in compliance with all the international norms. So the legitimacy of the Nagorno Karabakh independence is very strong, very firm. We have
politically, you have elected officials, right?
Yes, we
do. You have
a
president?
We do. We
have like a Congress
president
or something like that
we
set
have
up?
a National Assembly.
National Assembly, okay.
Yes. We have
what else?
The government. We have all the branches of power: executive, legislative, and judicial. Everything you got used to in normal democratic state.
Okay. All right. You know, what I'd like to do is put up that map that we saw in the beginning, because I'd like you to look at that monitor. That is a current map. Now, you see Armenia is right there on the border. Azerbaijan is right there. Iran, Turkey are to the south, and, of course, Russia to the north. How accurate is this map right now?
It is accurate. It reflects the current state of affairs, the current territory of the regional countries.
And what are the tensions like? Are there tensions between Karabakh and Azerbaijan?
Yes, there is a refusal of Azerbaijan to recognize the right of Nagorno Karabakh for freedom, basically, and they refuse to recognize the independence of Nagorno Karabakh. And we have been negotiating with Azerbaijan ever since the conflict erupted, but most active phase began from 1992. When the international community got involved as in the vehicle of the co-chairmanship of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. So there are 3 countries now which are immediately dealing with the conflict. United States, one of them, Russia, and France.
Okay. How are they dealing with it in terms of what?
There is a special group which is called Minsk Group. Minsk is a town in the former Soviet Union. It was a place where a forum on Nagorno Karabakh was supposed to take place. It never happened, but the group is called the Minsk Group. So the Minsk Group has three co-chairmen, as I already mentioned, and they pay regular visits to the region. They meet with the authorities, including the ones in Nogorno Karabakh, and they try to bring the parties together. They try to elaborate on any common basis for reaching a tangible peace and more long-term peace agreement.
And what are the prospects of that happening?
Well, it depends on the sides, on the negotiating side. So the mediators cannot do the whole job for us. Of course, we understand that, and we've been trying to play the most constructive possible role in negotiations. And now we can say that the most recent set of proposals put forward by the mediators was rejected by Azerbaijan as not acceptable. So you understand.
The two sides keep going back and forth.
They are keeping going back and forth, and if you don't have both sides sincerely willing to get to somewhere, the mediation is
the
not.
Politicians can reach an agreement, but the people on the ground have to accept it too.
Exactly. We understand the importance of the trust between the peoples,
Right.
especially after the bloody war we had. That's why since 2001 we've been putting forward the set of confidence-building measures, which unfortunately again is rejected by the opposite side. But we understand the necessity of building trust. We understand that all of us are staying there.
Is Azerbaijan a threat, a military threat to Karabakh?
It is.
Right now?
It is right now. On a daily basis, everything we hear from Azerbaijan is that we are going to use our easy oil reserves to purchase some more arms.
Do they have more military might than Karabakh?
I wouldn't say so, because we give a priority to our physical security of the Nogorno Karabakh Republic and its people. And I would say that the only reason why the war has not resumed or reoccurred is because of the existing balance of powers. Because Azerbaijan has quite a number of hotheads, political hotheads, which cherish this revanchist idea.
They want to go to war. Some people in Azerbaijan want to resume the war.
Many people say they do want, but of course that's our hope that the community.
What about the people in Karabakh? Do they want the war?
You know what? Any people who have seen the war don't want it, of course. And we have seen our share. We have felt the tragedy. Of course, we don't want to go for war. That's why we are still engaged in a dialogue, and we're trying to communicate with them.
Right, and Azerbaijan is being they're being supplied with weapons from what countries? Would it be mainly Turkey at this point?
Not only Turkey, they have military relations with a bunch of countries.
Is Iran one of them?
I don't know.
No, okay.
I don't know. But at
Turkey is definitely one of them. Yeah.
Not only Turkey. Yes, Turkey is one of them, but they also purchase arms from many exporters.
Russia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Russia, not only Russia, again. The list is pretty long, all the main producers of weapon, and Azerbaijan has the money to purchase it, but it's their internal affair.
But there's no doubt, if it happened again, let's hope it doesn't, because there was a lot of bloodshed back 25 years ago, Karabakh would be ready to defend itself.
It is ready 24/7. We have to be ready, and that's the only signal we are trying to reach to get to Azerbaijan. That
and would the U.S. back Karabakh?
U.S. backs the vision that we need a stable and predictable region. That's the understanding of all the mediators, and we are absolutely on the same page with the United States and the international community in that. So we're trying to be constructive, and there are many things which are in common in our vision.
Let's take a call here real quick. Good morning, you're on Connect with Me. How are you? What's your question? Quickly, we're on the air live.
With the brutal axe killing and the pardoning by Aliyev, and now the threats to shoot down aircraft, civilian aircraft, does Aliyev really expect that the Armenians would want to live under his regime and his rulings? Is that an expectation that's realistic?
Thank you for your question. Aliyev is the president of Azerbaijan, for those who don't know that. Well, unfortunately, yes, as I said, we're getting these hostile messages from Azerbaijan. And a guy who murdered a sleeping Armenian officer while the NATO training program in Budapest, he was taken back to Azerbaijan and praised as a hero for that. So that's an example how they try to educate and cultivate hatred against the Armenians, unfortunately. Well, Armenians have never lived in the composition of independent Azerbaijan. That's why I don't see even any hypothetical reason to discuss of Nagorno Karabakh being under Aliyev or whoever the president of Azerbaijan is. We were all part of the Soviet Union, which has disintegrated, and as a result of that disintegration, we have emergence of not 3 South Caucasus states, but at least 4, and Nogorno Karabakh Republic is one of them.
All right, we got to take a quick break here. We're talking with Robert Avetisyan. He flew in from Washington, D.C. yesterday. He will be speaking on this very topic, of course, tonight at Fresno State McLean Hall, room 121. Your phone calls are important. We are talking about Karabakh, the war that took place 25 years ago, and the tensions that remain high today with Azerbaijan. We're back in just a moment.
Don't you ever hit me again!
Chief, I think we got a hit on our hands.
MeTV Fresno, now on Comcast Channel 187.
And we're back here on Connect with Me, and our number here is 265-4331. We are talking about the war that took place 25 years ago. Robert Avetisyan is, of course, here talking about the war in Karabakh with Azerbaijan. Last segment, of course, we talked about the political implications. Would the U.S. back Karabakh in a war if it broke out?
We expect from the U.S. as well as from the international community that no one will back the country which unleashes the war. And of course, the United States, as one of the biggest supporters of human rights and democracy throughout the world, we expect that the United States will continue its support to the Nagorno Karabakh, which has very significant achievements in a democratic building.
Do you think the U.S. would supply weapons and perhaps people?
I don't want to even.
You don't know.
I don't want
sure.
to. No. I'm
you
not
you
sure.
want to speculate on that, probably. Yeah, it's too far down the road. If it
the
ever
most
happens.
important is that we have all the possibilities, including military possibilities.
What's important right now is to keep the peace and keep talking
exactly.
at the table, right?
Exactly. But if you have an adversary like Azerbaijan, for that you need to have a military strength.
Right. Okay. What about the economic situation in Karabakh right now?
Well, the war was pretty devastating, and it ruined almost entire economic and other infrastructure in Nagorno Karabakh. And ever since the ceasefire was in force since '94, we're trying to rebuild our lives, and of course using the traditional and non-traditional directions, economic directions. We are traditionally an agricultural country, but
much like here in the Central Valley.
Exactly.
Ag is our big thing. So ag is the big thing in Karabakh?
No.
What's the big thing there? What's the big economic booster, the one main booster for the country?
Recently, increasingly, it goes to the championship goes to mining and hydropower station electricity.
A lot of minerals.
A lot of minerals.
It's a mountainous area.
It's a mountainous area rich in gold, rich in many minerals. It's a mountainous area rich in water, fresh water. So we are constructing electric power stations, hydropower stations, which generate already about 70% of our own consumption. So we are planning to become energy sufficient within years, and even try to export electricity if we.
So hydroelectric power plus mining.
Yes.
Those are the two big economic boosters in that country.
And the agriculture is there, and the prospects of tourism are very, very significant.
Really?
Yes.
In what part of the country?
All of it. You can hardly find a square.
So do you have tourism there now, despite the fact that the country still is in a rebuilding stage, if you will, 25 years later?
We do have it because we are very rich in historical monuments. We are very rich in. We're very famous for our hospitality. Last year we had more than 15,000 tourists, and believe me, not all of them are Armenians. We had guests from throughout the world, which is a very good fact for us.
Right. Okay. The ultimate goal. Let's talk about what the ultimate goal is for the country. What's the ultimate goal? To reunite Karabakh with the country of Armenia?
Well, this is how we started in 1988. Because, well, actually the process was taking place throughout the Soviet history. We always were appealing before the Soviet authorities to transfer us back to Armenia, because that was the natural course of things.
Is that even Is that even a remote possibility at this point in time?
The most important, well, if you permit, I'll just explain how it changed into the current state of affairs. So we started as a reunification with Armenia, as a freedom movement, eventually to reunify with Armenia, reunite. Later, when the Soviet Union began to disintegrate, and we saw no any reaction, no any interference from the central authorities in Moscow, we looked into the constitution, which provided us with the legal possibility to proclaim independence. So in an effort to be in line with the law, in an effort to be in compliance with all the requirements legal, we chose the way of proclaiming independence, which we eventually did. And our fight right now, our struggle, is to have the international community to recognize our life and our right to live the way we want it.
So you want the international community, the UN Security Council, the United States, and everyone else to recognize Karabakh as a country, a sovereign country. As an independent
state, yes.
Yeah, and so that would be the first step, but what's the possibility of that happening?
It is up to the...
very remote at this point, wouldn't you say?
Well, I would say that the world is increasingly aware of the situation, and the situation has reached a point of no return, because no one can imagine the restoration of the Soviet Union, and no one can imagine the restoration of the Soviet heritage.
Turkey may resist, Russia's going to resist, Azerbaijan is going to resist, and Turkey, of course, is an ally of the U.S. We have military bases there. That's an uphill fight to get that country recognized by the rest of the world.
Many countries will resist, but many countries will support it. And we still, as I said, we hope that the ultimate values, the more permanent values of human rights, of freedom of the personality, the security and dignity of the personality will eventually prevail.
Quickly, before we go to break now, I got to take a commercial break, but would you compare this situation in a very similar way, not exactly because the circumstances are much different, to the struggle between the Israelis and the Palestinians? It's over land.
In our case, it's over the right to live in freedom and dignity and in security.
But some would say that's also the case between the Israelis and the Palestinians. The Palestinians want their own state.
I would say that there are many cases which have similarities and differences, but of course we understand that the history...
Is there a parallel there, is what I'm asking?
Parallels are always, they can be found in any confrontation, in any conflict situation between the two actors.
Yeah.
When one of the sides is striving for independence. But we all understand that every conflict is peculiar and it's very unique. And the issues to solve it have to be developed for it peculiarly.
All right, Robert Avetisyan is our guest. He is going to be the featured speaker tonight at Fresno State, McLean Hall, room 121. He was gracious enough to spend time with us today here because he's on a tight schedule. We're back. Hey, the phone number, 265-4331. We're live on Comcast.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the low-price leading brands reliable advice place. The Whirlpool Dream Kitchen Get Yours Today place. Check this out. Right now, get huge savings on select Whirlpool appliances and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months. At the hometown low price, think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place.
Want more of me?
Me?
Go to metvfresno.com for schedules, information on your favorite shows, videos, pictures, and more. Go to metvfresno.com today. Exclusively brought to you by Ventura TV.
Okay, we're back here on Connect with Me. 265-4331 is the number. We are talking with Robert Avetisyan, and of course we're talking about Karabakh and the tensions between Azerbaijan, Russia, Turkey is right there, and the efforts to reunite this country with Armenia are far, far away, because you're still at the table talking with representatives from Azerbaijan. Is that correct?
Unfortunately, since '98, Azerbaijan refuses even to talk to us.
Really?
Yes.
So there is no talking now?
Well, there is no immediate communication between the immediate conflicting parts. So they communicate with us only through the mediators.
25 years ago, when the war was going on, you had many here from the Central Valley who went there to fight the war. One of those from Visalia, Avo. Talk about him. He died in the war.
He did. Avo is definitely, he's a hero. And he's one of the examples when people, when they heard what's going on in Artsakh, they left everything. Artsakh is the Armenian name of Nogorno Karabakh, and joined us in our struggle for freedom.
Okay, let's take a phone call here. Good morning. You're on Connect with Me. What is your question for our guest today?
Yes, I would like to...
Speak up just a little.
Excuse me?
Speak up. Go ahead and turn your TV down and speak up.
Oh, sure. The question is, why did in 1923 Stalin return Karabakh to Azerbaijan?
Thank you. In 1923, what happened? Well, actually, it started a couple of years earlier when the decision was taken by then the regional communist leaders to recognize Karabakh as part of Armenia. But then, on the next day, Stalin, in violation of all the existing regulations, he said, no, Karabakh should be given to Azerbaijan, not returning, but given to Azerbaijan. So the only way to return would be give it back to Armenia. And it was incorporated. Of course, the Armenians resisted, and in 1923 they agreed to form the autonomy.
I see.
Of Nagorno Karabakh. So Nagorno Karabakh autonomy existed within Soviet Azerbaijan since 23. Why would he do that? Because they had some plans to expand communism. Of course, there was intention to please certain regional players, and in general, that was the policy of creating the leverages.
So he created Azerbaijan, Soviet Azerbaijan in 1923. So with the idea of taking over Karabakh.
1921.
21.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Not with that idea, but many.
What was his main idea?
He was trying to expand communism to the communism to the.
Isn't that the same as taking over, though? For the most part, it is. Right. I mean, he wanted to spread the communism, but he wanted to take over that country as well.
Over that country, and he wanted to create the leverages on the Armenian and Azerbaijani nations, and he wanted to please some regional. For instance, Turkey was regarded as a torch of communism. They actually declared that they will be the torch of communism to the east.
Yeah.
So there was kind of a more sad picture.
There's so many tensions around the world now. You've got the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which has been going on for how many years? You've got the North Korea situation, Iran. You have this situation with Karabakh and Azerbaijan. There are so many other hot spots around the world. Why do you think that is?
Well, I don't know. It's a hard question, but at the same time, we see that many of the conflicting situations get to the settlement, the final settlement, and which is increasingly in support of the self-determination.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, we appreciate your time in coming in today, and good luck. You're going to be speaking tonight at Fresno State, and I sure appreciate you coming in. You're on a tight schedule, and good luck to you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And when you come back to Fresno again, stop by.
I hope. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. That is Robert Avetisyan. He is going to speak tonight at McLean Hall, room 121 at Fresno State. He flew in from Washington yesterday, and we appreciate his time. Sad to report now that our good friend here on Connect with Me, Bill Dietzel, is a Chief Master Sergeant, United States Air Force for 24 years, has passed away. He flew in the Korean War 36 combat missions. Bill Dietzel was a guest on this program, Connect with Me, for a half hour back in November. He had 16 medals. He passed away with his family at his side. Sadly, it was cancer. He talked about that on our show when he was here back in November. Our hearts and prayers go out to the family of Bill Dietzel, a Chief Master Sergeant with the United States Air Force. Our thoughts and prayers to his family. That's going to do it for us today here on Connect with Me. We once again thank our guest. On Monday, our special guest, Nancy Osborne, the former Channel 30 news anchor. Have a great weekend. See you Monday.
Look at that. Isn't that a great layout? You son of a gun.
This campaign is no good.
No good!
Darren and Larry, the original Mad Men on Bewitched.